Hey, good evening, everybody. Just making a start to the webinar. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm Rob. I'll be a sort of main presenter on the webinar today. I'm joined by my colleague Alex and a lady called Kate Hall, who's going to present a little bit about what she does through Surrey Outdoor Learning. So, without further ado, I'll kind of get started. Bit of sort of housekeeping for you. Your microphones are turned off by us purely because we sometimes get some background interference in these webinars, so we automatically turn your microphones off. When we get to a question section, we'll ask you to put your hand up, at which point we'll allow your mic, so you'll be able to speak and ask questions and say what you need to say if there's something we've not covered in there. So there will be opportunity to ask questions. We also have a function on the system, which is a chat function. So if you could just pop your name in there and the organisation you're from, that'll be really useful for us just to understand who's on the webinar. There is also a question and answer function as well, which is an anonymous question and answer. Only we see that. So if you're not comfortable asking anything in the chat, feel free to pop in the Q&A function. Just going to share a question with you now. So if you don't mind just populating that as it comes through, bear with me a second, it's just loading up. But what we do have is we've got a question. Cool, bear with me 2 seconds. All right, just getting a little bit of an issue with my IT at the moment. Good start, good start. Just if you don't mind typing details in chat while I sort this one out. Cool. So I'm just going to share a question in the chat now for you. But basically, if you just answer the question, what you're trying to achieve with our qualifications. So why have you signed up to the qualifications? Essentially, that will just really help us understand what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve. Wait a second, I'll just bring back my presenting slides. It just helps us figure out what you're trying to do. So bear with me 2 seconds. Cool. Okay. Right. Let's make a start. As I said, my name is Rob. I'm delivering the presentation today of the Development Manager at Leadership Skills Foundation. My job is the Sports Centres delivering our programs. I'm accompanied by my colleague Alex Potter, who is the lead qualifications officer for our Lowland qualifications as well. So he'll be chipping in every now and again with some key information for you. Key parts of the agenda today, essentially, we're going to be looking at introducing the program. Some of you may be running it before, some of you may have not. The premise of this delivery is focused on people who haven't generally delivered the program before. So we'll be trying to sort of get a bit of an understanding of what the program entails, a bit about the delivery journey, the benefits of delivering the program, and obviously hearing from Kate and giving us some sort of real world insights of the actual program itself. If you don't know who we are, we started out as a charity called the British Sports Trust. The focus of the charity was to get young people leading and volunteering in their local community. You may remember this certificate here from many years ago. I've got one of these that looks exactly the same. We've traditionally done our leadership through sport, but it's always been through physical activity. It's been around about 40 years. Part of the whole focus of what we do is developing and recognising young people and young people's leadership skills. Now, that's gone through many guises. We were obviously a British Sports Trust to start with. We're now Leadership Skills Foundation, and in between we were Sports Leaders UK, because that was a big part of what we did, was leadership through sport. We now do leadership through a lot of different mediums, hence why we've kind of moved into the realm of being the Leadership Skills Foundation. We do courses through environment leadership, esports, STEM, dance, obviously the Lowland and sport, and a number of other organisations as well. So that's kind of one of the sort of key things which we have. The key focus is it's all about the learner and developing their skills and developing their understanding of leading others. We do that through those different mediums, and it's about making an impact on the local community. So we had about 80,000 learners go through our programs on last year, which totaled about 500,000 leadership hours. So those leaders actually contributed that amount of volunteering into their local community, which is a massive amount. And that's just a minimum. That's the bare minimum of going through our courses of what centres have told us. That doesn't also capture those elements of where leaders have gone into other organisations and just led off their own back and told us about it. So some really, really good insights there for what the impact is of the programmes. So I'm just going to talk through sort of the top line elements of what we do in terms of the leadership programmes for Lowland Expedition. We have a level 2 and a level 3. The level 2 is an assisting qualification. And then the level 3, we have a Lowland Walk and we have a Lowland Expedition. Part of that is the fact that they are built off the back of 25 years of experience through our BELA qualification, which was sort of the traditional one that we were known for within the industry at the time when we started delivering these programs. They then morphed into the level 2 and the level 3. So all that learning that we took from those qualifications, from awarding them, quality assuring them, and engaging with organizations to deliver the programs, has been built into this. So every time we sort of make a tweak to the qualification, we make a spec change, we tweak it a little bit, it's essentially making it more deliverable for yourselves as deliverers. They're regulated RQF qualifications, so they sit on the framework at those levels. They're proper qualifications, as I call them. They've got the quality assurance in the background. They've got a big focus on standardization of it as well. But the key elements of what we have is it's a mix of theory and practical. So the delegates have to demonstrate what they do in terms of leading others through what we call lowland terrain. And I think one of the sort of key things of what we sort of pride ourselves on with our programs is that they're all quite simple and very adaptable and flexible to deliver. So we provide you with a lot of the resources that you need to actually sort of get started with the program as well. And that's one of the main benefits from our point of view as a delivery organisation, as an awarding body. So some of the key elements of the program. So the kind of sort of three broad outcomes is that we're trying to prepare learners to safely and confidently lead walks and expeditions in lowland terrain. We're building that confidence around the elements of, we'll say, risk management, navigation planning, group welfare, and developing that ability to train others in those areas. There's some bits of detail there around the course qualification itself, in terms of the actual delivery itself and the hours that you need to take in terms of the tutored hours. Speaking specifically around the level 3 stuff, learners can be starting the program at 16. They can't be certified until they're 17, and they can't lead independently until they're 18. So there's a few steps that we need to go through in terms of ensuring that learners are at the right age groups to, number one, be certified, and also number two, to actually lead independently. There is a key element of what we do, which is the UCAS points as well. So if you're from an education setting, or even if you're not and you work with some young people, there's some real key parts of what we do, which can obviously look at broadening perspectives and looking at exit routes for these qualifications, because we do have quite a significant amount that run them in sixth form colleges and along Duke of Edinburgh in sixth form. So looking at those exit routes are quite a key thing, and additional points for that are really key. When we're talking about sort of the core and the structure of the programs, there's every one of our programs is an element of developing leadership skills. So making sure that our qualifications are available to everybody to deliver those leadership skills and to develop those skills around teamwork, problem solving, self-management, and those elements. We also now link into an organisation called Skill Builder, which links those programs into more of a national agenda and a national framework for talking about employability skills and transferable skills, and coming up with common terminology, I think is probably the best way to put it. Other elements that we go through in the qualifications is managing safety and risk, and preparing participants for walk leadership, that navigation skills element, as I've mentioned before. And if you're actually going through the full Lowland Expedition Level 3, there's an overnight module as well, which includes 15 hours of expedition leadership overnight. So there's some key elements there which I think help get those delegates up to standard to deliver. It's in terms of the delivery and assessment model, we obviously mentioned previously, theory and practical. There is some written evidence elements to it, obviously, because we need to evidence that learners and the delegates are able to get to stand to pass the course. There's a delegate evidence record, which we provide for you, which has plans, evaluations, and tasks in there for you. There's tutor observations that are required. There's a lot of participant feedback, which is a key part of it as well. And it does give you some options to be flexible in terms of how you deliver the program. So it's very much on your delivery structure, really, and on your sort of capabilities of how you want to deliver the program. But it gives you that flexibility to do it. Again, I think it's one of the key parts of it. There's a certain number of elements around tutor requirements and people who are qualified to run the program, which we can go into in a bit more detail if you want to do that. But essentially, we need to have tutors and verifiers, was told, mountain training or equivalent leadership qualifications, which we can go into a bit more detail. But we do offer training for all staff as well. So for certain roles that you undertake with us in the qualifications, we ask you to take some training, which is online, it's free, and it's through a learning portal. Just looking at some of the benefits of it. Essentially, as part of what we do, we provide quite a lot of information for you in terms of delivery and support. So we've got a resource hub, which is our sort of main portal, let's call it, which has a range of resources, templates, as I mentioned, a delegate evidence record, simple things like risk assessments, emergency response logs, assessment forms, everything's in there for you to kind of set the program up. A big part of what we do is linking into that national skills agenda, as I've mentioned before. But I think one of the sort of key points that we do have is we've got staff that are there to support you. Part of my role is supporting centres to set this up. Alex is sort of the adept hand with our Lowland qualifications as well, in terms of going through centre approval, but more course support throughout the programme as well. So there's a lot of experience in the organisation to help you get started or to sort of enhance your delivery if you've been delivering it for a while. Part of the key things as well is obviously just looking at the pathway of outdoor leadership, about where people can go after the programs as well once they've completed the qualifications. So moving into outdoor leadership, public services, adventure education careers. But I think the key part of it is looking at that, building confidence in their ability to do it, and being sort of more of an advocate for leading in lowland terrain as well. But it does build that confidence in the agency and the delegates to help them lead expeditions themselves in their own right. So some key parts of it. Just in terms of sort of summarising where you're from in terms of the organisations, and some examples of how you could deliver, or what the delegates would be looking like in terms of where they're coming from. We do work with a lot of schools and colleges, so it can be used to support the delivery of Duke of Edinburgh Award. Excuse me. It can be used to supplement delivery of public services or other outdoor qualifications if you're in an FE college. If you're an outdoor organisation or an outdoor centre, can improve your training offer. We can look at, obviously, provide service to local organisations or community, and it just develops your workforce as well. I think that's quite a key thing, is the more people you have qualified in certain elements, I think that's a real positive for yourselves in your delivery as well, in the local area and the local community. I'm just going to move on to Kate now. Kate, if you don't mind just coming in and kind of giving us a bit of an example of what you do through Surrey Outdoor Learning, really.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rob. Hello, everybody. So yeah, at Surrey Outdoor Learning and Development, we support and use the Leadership Skills Foundations. And to be honest, we have sort of used the level 2 award, the assistant award in the past, but we mainly deliver the level 3, and actually it tends to be the level 3 expedition training, so the Lowland expedition training level 3 that we kind of tend to deliver. It's very popular with our local schools. They use it for a lot of their members of staff when they're taking on becoming part of the Duke of Edinburgh's award, like you said, Rob, and just giving them the full sort of range of everything that they need to run DofE expeditions, because not only does it give them that ability to be able to navigate and kind of find their way through the local environment, it also covers everything around how to build an expedition, how to create all the risk assessments, look at all the medical side of things, look at all the kind of tick all the boxes that you need to plan a successful expedition. And what we tend to find is that quite often schools will be bringing new members of staff online, they're helping with the DofE, and then they slowly kind of trickle that through, get them in to do a level 3. They'll do their training with us and then go away, consolidate back, usually with the centre that they've been working with. They might go out and support other ones as well before they come back for their assessment. So that's one of our sort of major, I suppose, clients for this particular awards. We also do have people who are working in the outdoors that want to take groups on expeditions. They might not be school groups, and they might sign up to do it as well. And we also do use it to develop our own staff. We find that particularly because the prerequisites for the course are just basic understanding of navigation and things like that, it's a really good starting point to build somebody up, to get them to the point where they're able to do sort of walking in the outdoor environment and expeditioning. We're based in Surrey, but sort of in the Surrey Hills, so we've got two centres. One's in sort of just on the outskirts of Guildford and the other one's near Dorking, but they are both effectively in very green spaces, so we're very lucky we have access to great campsites and straight out into lowland terrain to be able to use that. I think as an organisation it's a really sort of the thing about the way that we can split it up works really well for us. So we tend not to deliver it as one big block. We tend to kind of chop it up a bit. So we'll have sort of, usually we deliver over between about 5 or 6 days. Quite often it's a 6-day event. We'll have a introduction, which is often online, where we just kind of get everybody together and have a discussion about, you know, what's expected and things like that. Then we do our first weekend event, where we start to introduce all the subjects and stuff like that. And then the next few days, sometimes we'll do another weekend, and that will be what we like to call a paperwork weekend. We look at the DIRPAC and we support the delegates in completing the DIRPAC and looking at all the different elements that they need to kind of, you know, understand and find resources for and things like that. And then that will either be a weekend or it will be kind of a bit of a day and a half, and then that will run into the final bit of the training, which is the expedition. The delegates will plan their expedition as a group, and then we will do an expedition. We will journey somewhere, camp overnight, and then journey back. So it gives them the opportunity to kind of, you know, try all the different elements out as a group. And it's a really popular kind of training. We do that, and then we usually, quite often, what we do is we don't set a date for the assessment. We talk to the delegates and ask them to communicate with each other. Usually they come back with some other people who've been on their training course. Sometimes it's more, and we have a minimum number for the assessment weekend, which we run when we've got enough delegates that are ready. So that kind of tends to flex a little bit. Some people come back after, you know, 6 months to a year, and some people might not come back for a couple of years until they're ready. They feel they're ready for their assessment weekend, or assessment 2 days, I should say, because we do offer that any time within the week. We tend to offer the award around weekends, and if we're going to do a few days in a week, 3 days or 4 days in a week, that will usually be in school holidays, because our main audience for it is schools. But the last course I ran last year, we did 3 weekends, because although they were mainly school teachers, they didn't want to give up like Easter or half term or something like that. I think there was skiing and stuff going on, so they asked for it to be over some weekends. But we are more than happy to run it at any time of year and at any week, to be honest. If we're running it for our own staff, we will just fit it in when they have availability. So it could well be that would be, you know, a quiet week, usually in March, when we're building up to the start of the season. So has anybody got any questions? I've kind of raced through how it all worked. Level 2 we've done, but we've done with sixth form colleges, to be honest. That works really well with sixth form colleges, just to kind of share that. So they tend to be younger, the groups that we work with on the level 2. That said, haven't done one of those for a while. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Kate. No, that was really insightful. Just gave us a little bit of, let's call it meat on the bone in terms of actual real world delivery. And yeah, I think it just adds that context. If you do have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, or just sort of ask them at the end in terms of the questions. So yeah, something might land in your mind after sort of hearing that. So really good. Thank you very much, Kate. Cool. Okay. So we're just going to move on. Just look at sort of the delivery journey, let's call it, delivery timeline, and kind of how we operate as an awarding body, and then we'll sort of open the floor up to any questions. So yeah, as you go through the process with us, we go through a registration and approval process. If you're not already a centre with us, I know a couple of you said you already are. Which just requires us kind of to do due diligence on the organisation. That allows you then to obviously go through our training process and go through the training modules, etc., and then get access to the materials to go off and deliver the course, essentially. Throughout that, we've basically got support in place that we mentioned previously, myself or Alex or some of the team that are able to do that. It's up to you how you deliver it and set to your timetable, really. So I think that's the key thing that obviously Kate reiterated as well, was it's really sort of how you see fit as the best delivery model for yourselves. And obviously you can consult with us on that, you can get your advice on that, and we can sort of come up with a plan with you as well. At that point, it's up to you if you want, when you want to certify the course. Once you've completed the program, we go through a quality assurance process in terms of just making sure that the learners are up to standard to pass the course by sort of taking a sample of the delegate evidence record, and having a conversation with you about it. And then it's kind of up to you to sort of celebrate the success and see the impact of programs really. So yeah, just moving into any questions, if I'm honest. If there's anybody that's got any questions, please use the raise your hand function, ask in the chat, and we have to be able to answer anything. There's obviously 3 of us in terms of a decent number of experience across here that who can answer any questions. Okay, I've not seen any hands up, but basically I'm just going to sort of reiterate a few things that were in the chat, just in terms of working with one-to-one individuals or groups. I think Alex did mention it. We've got a number of ways you can deliver to different organizations, whether it's small groups or large. So it's quite flexible around that. One of the key things is that if you do want to start up in terms of your first steps, your first step is to register as an organization with you, and we go through an approval process with you on that. We will be sending a follow-up email, which will sort of have actions. Say actions, that's probably a terrible approach to it, but it's basically it's just basically some steps that you might need to take if you do want to get started, with also some contact details. So if you want a more in-depth look and more in-depth conversations, then we can do that. We can have a bit more of a conversation with you about your delivery and about how you want to deliver. It would just be a case of identifying an individual, and we can have a one-to-one meeting with you. Just see if we've got anything in the chat. In terms of requirement I've got just a question from Chris regarding what requirements are there to register an organisation. You need to be a registered organisation, quite simply put, whether that's a business, whether it's a charity, whether it's a youth organisation. So we need a registration number from you. So you need to be, we'll call it a proper registered organisation. And that's the requirement from our point of view. Yeah, Alex sort of nailed it there. Legal entity is the best thing. So sole trader would tick that box as well. Just looking at questions, we just got one around registration costs. So basically, we have a little bit complicated 2-tier pricing system in terms of our courses. For the level, excuse me, for the level 2 assisting, it's £54 per delegate. For the level 3 walk, it's 68, and for the level 3 expedition, it's 78. If you actually get the courses to us and registered and booked in before the end of October, then they're about £5 cheaper per registration. Realise, obviously, if you're looking at that sort of initial engagement, then you're obviously at the stage where you're probably not going to meet that threshold in terms of the deadline. But don't worry, just get in touch with us around the delivery side of things. I've just seen the question. Sorry, go on, Alex, jump in.
No, there's a question there from Maggie around minimum level of qualification and experience. Maggie, the minimum level to deliver level 3 is either a summer or winter ML or an equivalent. You may have done Hill and Moorland with Campcraft module. That's absolutely fine. Or you've been in the forces and you got your JESML. That's absolutely fine. You may have a vast amount of experience within the outdoor industry, but you may not have that summer or winter ML. So that's just a case of getting in touch, and we can look at the level of experience in the field and the level of qualification that your potential tutor and internal verifier have. The level to deliver level 2 it can be slightly less, but again, it's just a case of getting in touch and reviewing that level of qualification or that level of experience. Sorry, Bob.
No, that's fine. That's what I was going to do. So I'll try and answer the question, but I think you nailed it there in terms of just covering the elements. I think the key message in terms of tutor experience is have a conversation with us. If you're not sure you're meeting that criteria, as Alex said, I think there's a lot of people with really good experience out there, and if you believe you've probably got enough qualifications to do that, then you can do that. We just got a question about, is it possible to deliver it on your own? BTECs have tutors verifying, deliver it defined separate. No, you do need to have a tutor and an internal verifier, so you need 2 people involved in the program. Hopefully that was helpful, Chris. Thanks. Any more questions at all?
There was another point. No, there was another point. Just again, just early on in the chat, I thought it pertinent just to kind of clarify Lowland leadership and the terrain, because you mentioned that in one of your slides, and just to reiterate, Lowland leadership is exactly what it says in the tin. It's not gone up Ben Nevis. It's not gone up Scafell Pike or any of these. It's about rolling countryside with an easy access of emergency services. And if you're looking, and a lot of people ask how high we can go, I would certainly say, and I don't know if Kate will agree, anything below 2,000 feet is fine, because you should be able to get easier access to emergency services and appropriate campsites and stuff. So just to reiterate, it is not about, if you want to go up Ben Nevis with a group, or if you want to go and do your ML, this is about, Lowland leadership, and presenting those skills to those who want to go through it. Sorry, Kate.
No, I was just going to agree with you, Alex, in your definition of Lowland. It is that thing about having access to emergency services and, an escape route that probably is no more than about half an hour away from where you are at any one point. So you've just got that kind of, sort of, don't need to go up Ben Nevis, as you say, as lovely as it is.
Should have been up there 2 weeks ago when the storm came in. Chris, you've asked about using an external internal verifier. Absolutely. You just cannot verify your own assessments. So as long as you've got a separate tutor and internal verifier, you can run our qualifications. The biggest difference between our other suite of qualifications in terms of dance and sport and STEM, the outdoor or the Lowland Expedition leadership require the internal verifier to have the same level of qualification as potentially the tutor. So internal verifier should still have your ML, summer or winter or equivalent. We don't potentially have a network of internal verifiers that could help. I think if you were looking to run this qualification and you were aware of any outdoor centres that are within your vicinity, you are more than welcome to reach out to them and ask two questions. One, would they be willing to be the internal verifier? And two, do they hold the appropriate qualification to carry out that role? That would obviously, without telling you how to suck eggs, Chris, that would obviously incur a cost for you, because you would have to employ that internal verifier, or if you could get a reciprocal kind of agreement, then brilliant.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. One thing as well, Chris, and this goes for anybody else as well. We do obviously have a network of deliverers across different regions and parts of the UK, so we could potentially put you in touch with other people who are delivering the programme to start that partnership conversation happening. So do bear that in mind as well. Okay, fantastic. I don't think there's any more questions that we haven't addressed. And thanks, Alex, for clarifying the Lowland terminology. I think that was important to do. So if there's no more questions coming through, I'll end the webinar. We will follow up with everybody over the next couple of days with, you'll get a link to the recording, a link to the slides, and you'll also get our contact details. So please get in touch if you've got any more questions at all. But yeah, other than that, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully it's been insightful and been useful. We'll hopefully speak to you all very, very soon. Thanks very much, Alex, and thanks, Kate, for presenting. That was excellent. Thank you. Okay, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Alex.